Welcome to Getting to Know You. I'm your host, Eman Tuzman-Eagan, and I'm happy to welcome you to this podcast where we get to know the members of the Berkshire Hills Music Academy community better. Our guest for today is Adam, joining us from Berkshire Hills. Welcome to Getting to Know You, Adam. I'm so happy to have the chance to interview you today.
Hi, thank you for having me, man.
First question, where did you grow up?
I actually grew up right here in South Hadley.
Can you tell us, the listeners, more about that?
Of course. So I was born in Holyoke, but I moved to South Hadley when I was 1 year old with my family. I went to South Hadley public schools up until high school. I left the area for college and lived in Central Mass for a while. And then when I found out that I was going to have a son, we decided to move back here so that we could raise him where I grew up, because it's a really fun place to grow up.
Leads me to my next question. Where did you go to college?
I went to Northeastern University in Boston, and I majored in education with a minor in English. So I knew I wanted to be a teacher, and that's kind of what led me here through a long, twisting path.
Leads me to the next question. What did you major in?
So I was an education major, which meant that I was learning how to be a teacher. I guess my focus was maybe going to be like a high school English teacher, was kind of what I was studying. But I ended up in special education while kind of looking for a high school teaching job and really took to it. And that's sort of where I ended up, and actually went to grad school and got my master's for special education.
So, favorite class at BHMA and why?
I think my favorite class to teach is creative writing, just because if there's 6 different people in the room, I'm going to get 6 different really cool stories and perspectives. Everyone has a different imagination, and it's really fun to be a part of that process.
How many classes do you teach in total?
I'm counting. It varies semester to semester, but I guess you could say that I teach a few money management classes, creative writing, and emotional well-being are the 3 big ones. I don't think I've taught anything else. I've helped out Tammy a couple times with cooking, but that's about it.
For the listeners who don't know, for the listeners who might not know, can you explain a little bit more about emotional well-being and what that is?
Sure. So emotional well-being is a class that we offer to, it's like an introductory class that we offer to the new students. We talk about the different emotions that we have, our feelings, how to better understand them, how to process them, and then how to maybe understand other people's emotions. Things like picking up on nonverbal cues, body language, tone of voice, things that can be a mystery to some people, and just talk about them and, check in with that kind of stuff.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
I spend a lot of time with my wife and son doing fun things around Western Mass. When I'm all by myself, I mostly like to play piano. I occasionally play like a little video games, but not like too much.
What is the name of your son?
My son's name is Quentin. I call him Quint for short. We got the name because when my wife was pregnant, we were seeing Jaws at an old theater, and the captain of the Orca, the boat that's chasing Jaws the shark, is Captain Quint, and it was just a really cool role, and we thought it'd make a cool name, so we ended up going with Quentin, so I could call him Quint for short.
If you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
To play the piano like Franklin.
I understand you play the guitar. What's your guitar to play, electric or acoustic? Or you do play guitar, right? Yes. You prefer the electric or the acoustic?
I prefer the acoustic. I wish I was better at the electric. All the knobs on the amps confuse me. I don't understand how they all work together, and so I could probably benefit from some music classes. Here at Berkshire Hills, you guys are learning like a lot of cool stuff that I would like to learn too. So I prefer the acoustic just because it feels simpler. I don't have to plug it in; it's ready to go. I just have to tune it up.
Do you have a favorite guitarist?
Ooh, that's a big question. I've always been a big fan of Django Reinhardt, who plays something called gypsy jazz or French jazz from the 30s. I really like a lot of jazz guitarists. Kenny Burrell, Wes Montgomery, Eric Krasno from Soul Live is really great. I could probably go on for a long time, but those are a few.
Do you have any pets, and what are their names?
I have 2 cats, and their names are Molly and Ramona.
How did you get involved in BHMA?
Well, we moved out here right before the pandemic. I was working at a place called the May Center for a while, but it wasn't a great fit. And then my sister knew Michelle Thoreau, and I had actually met Michelle a bunch of times, but I didn't know what she did for a living. She didn't know what I did for a living. Then one day she made the connection that, like, oh, you're in special education and you're a music teacher. I run a school that serves this population, and it's a music-oriented school, so we thought that might be a good fit. We kind of talked back and forth for like a year, and then when there was a good opening and I was back on the job market, by the time my son was like maybe 1 year old and starting school, or probably 2, I went back to work, and Michelle was my first call.
So tell us the backstory of how you met Michelle. You knew her before here?
Yes.
Can you explain that to us?
Sure. Michelle Thoreau actually used to be my sister's next door neighbor. So she was pretty close to my sister, their friends. So Michelle was close enough to my sister that I would see her pretty often at family parties, and Michelle Thoreau. So I just knew her as my sister's friend Michelle for like 2 or 3 years before we made the connection that professionally we had a lot in common and some things to talk about. So, yeah.
How many instruments do you play in total?
I play the piano and the guitar, and I'm kind of a beginner at both of them, but it's a lot of fun to play and to practice.
Do you have a favorite piano player and a favorite song to play on the piano?
My favorite song to play is probably "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," just because I can do it without looking at the sheet music, and it's it's a really pretty song. Favorite pianist? Oh man. Art Tatum kind of comes to mind. He's kind of insane, and he actually plays a version of "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" that I like a lot. I guess lately I've really been listening to a lot of Regina Spektor. I think she's pretty fantastic, and I don't know. There's like a million pianists that I like. Debussy, I guess, Chopin. They're pretty good too. They're okay.
This is my favorite one. Okay. If you could play with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be and why? I know it's a really tough question. Yeah, it's a tough question for anybody to answer.
Okay, there might be some dead air for a second, I think. It'd probably be a lot of fun to sit down with Paul McCartney and John Lennon and just be in the background while they were writing songs. That'd be pretty cool. But really the most fun thing to do is just I walk into the great room and someone's at the piano or sit down next to them, or if I start playing the piano and a student starts singing, I have the most fun just playing with people around here, just kind of sporadically, nothing planned. It just kind of happens. And that's when playing the music is the most fun.
What is your favorite style of music to play?
I try to play jazzy ballads. That's kind of what I'm working towards. It's a work in progress.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to today's episode of Getting to Know You. I'd like to thank Adam for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you for having me.
Our theme song is Getting to Know You by Rogers and Hammerstein, performed by BHMA community member Franklin Nichols. Editing is done by Jake Goldstein, creative direction by me, Eman Tuzman-Eagan, and creative support by my mom. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Bye-bye. Thank you, Adam.